Hi everyone, it's Fortune Cookie. This is going to be another motivational talk slash think piece. I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a think piece, but this is going to be for anyone who identifies as a creative or anyone who just resonates with being someone that usually goes against the grain. You feel like an outsider, or someone who is pursuing their own path or wanting to pursue their own path. This video is for you. And I'm going to title this video What We Can Learn from Elphaba, or What We Can Learn from Wicked in general. So if you are anything like me, and I'm going to tie this to my story and how it relates, and yeah, so if you are someone who is going against the grain or pursuing your own path or a creative, I'm just going to refer to you as a creative. So if you're creative, you probably resonate with feeling different or feeling like you think differently or you dress differently, you act differently. Something about you is different, hence why you're probably so creative, or the fact that you are creative makes you different in so many ways. And that is picked up by everyone around you, and they probably didn't necessarily treat you poorly because of it, but you were treated differently because of it, or you kind of were reflected back by your environment that you were different in some way. And it is constantly reflected back to you because you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be taking the road less taken. So doing something artistic like theater, art, I see a lot of people who are in the arts, when they get to college, they'll like go for STEM. And the most common reason why is because the stable paycheck, it's a prestige career, it's more respected, versus if you went into school for the arts, there's kind of like a hidden, how do I say this, but I've been around a lot of college students to know that like some art students will kind of joke with like, oh yeah, like I can't wait to make like nothing after college, I can't wait to struggle after college. And then you have people in STEM who are like, yeah, I'm just doing this for the paycheck so that I can pay for my creativity and do my creative hobbies on the side, or my creative gifts on the side. And what I found is like all these people are talented, but they just kind of fall on two sides of a fence. And the common theme is that there's fear, and that there is some type of like suffering and scarcity around pursuing your own path as a creative. That's what I was trying to say. So in the film, Elphaba has this dilemma where she thinks that when she proves herself to the wizard, she'll be celebrated by everyone and she'll finally be valid as a person and she'll be accepted. She tied a lot of her acceptance to her proving herself to her father or to the wizard, or both, or whatever. She just felt like she had to prove something to earn her value. She didn't see that value in herself because everyone around her was treating her poorly and differently because of that. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. I grew up singing, I grew up in choir, I grew up loving anything artistic, fashion, all these things, but as I grew up, it was pumped into my head that these artistic fields and these artistic things are not valid career paths because they don't pay enough. You look at the starting salary of these career fields and it's relatively low, and that you need to find something to give you the right value so that you can finally have permission to go all in with it. And I see this a lot, especially because I took the STEM side. I see it a lot. Like a lot of really creative and talented people will say, yeah, like I'm doing this so then I can. And the thing is, it's a good strategy and it's a safe option. However, I think that the scary part is that a lot of people end up trapped in that side, where I would sometimes talk to like older like coworkers, and they would say like, yeah, like I used to like do a lot of like creative things, and like, you know, I got older, kids, wife, and life happened, life got in the way, and then they got consumed with work, so that they kind of fell out of love with their music, their art, and everything. And those were just things that they did when they were young and when they had free time. And I think that's the saddest, it's the saddest thing to see for me. And the reason why I like to tie the creative journey to Elphaba's journey is that when I started showing my creativity more, when I was searching for jobs, when I was in offices, that creativity is valued. It's valued, but not because it's coming from me and not because it reflects my value. It's because my creativity can bring value to the business, to the corporation, to something outside of me. And in corporate words, they like to call it, you're the innovator. You're the innovative mind. You're the young innovative mind that contributes new ideas to the company. But at the end of the day, like they're getting all the benefit from it. I'm getting the same paycheck every 2 weeks. Like it's gonna help them long term. The things that you create last, and they have an impact long term, and those things will grow over time. Even that little idea that you pitch in the meeting, that's gonna grow in profit and revenue over and over and over again years down the line, because it's all being taken in. And that's when I realized like that's low key like Elphaba. Like she She had all the power, and she was giving it away, and she thought that proving it to something outside of herself meant that she was valid. And online, and you look at the starting salary of artistic fields, it's low. Like, Elphaba was powerful. She was always powerful from the moment that she was born. And she thought that because the value that other people attached to her reflected her true power, her true worth. And as a viewer, I'm watching this and I'm like, you literally made all the furniture in your home stick to the ceiling right out the womb. That's goated. That's so goated. Like, that is what I want you to take away from this video. If you're creative and you're carving out your own path, you have all the power. If not, you have more power. You are more powerful when you stand alone as a creative and you say, hey, this is my gift and this is how I'm going to use it, and this is how I'm going to use it to benefit my community, call in my people, and use it to support myself. Elphaba being painted as a villain for standing in her own power and using her power for the things that she cared about is the same way that creatives are treated as like couch surfing, struggling broke artists who live paycheck to paycheck in the media. And the thing is, there's also a spiritual component to this, because I feel like when you watch something, you are kind of agreeing. You're making an agreement and you're consenting to that. So when we grow up, the artist who stands alone is always struggling, always living paycheck to paycheck, fighting for their art, and basically being a martyr because they decided to stand in their gift and stand in their creativity. And as creatives, we grow up seeing that and we subconsciously agree to that path. We agree that, okay, if I am going to stand alone and take my music seriously, that means that I have to struggle. It's all mindset, and I think it's kind of like an agreement that it's a role that you were assigned through the media, through everything, through the people that came before you. It's a role that was assigned to you, and you subconsciously agreed to that. This is going into my last point, where I hold creative people accountable. I feel like because art and creativity is very emotional, emotions are what drives you to create. Emotions can help you create art that is you, because that's the most genuine form of expression. When it comes to talking about numbers and business and strategy and plans, a lot of creatives shut their brain off. The thing about creativity is that if you're like me, a lot of your art will come like from a moment. Like there's a lot of spontaneity and fluidity behind being a creative. You see something and it's like, oh, that inspired me to make a song. When you're asked and you are tasked with thinking about strategy, thinking long-term, thinking about your plan, a lot of creatives their brain shuts off, and sometimes they get a little like, oh no, like we just do it for the art, like we do it because like. But I also want to add that I think the reason why creatives don't really like to participate in discussions about strategy and business is because there's a big emotional aspect to creating art, and I'm not denying that. And also there's this delusion that a lot of creatives have where it's like, if I just post this one day I'll blow up, and then people will finally recognize me as the artist that it's kind of like a lot of artists have that doctrine of one day, because what happens in the movies, the struggling artist just one day blows up, and one day he's big, and it's all one day, and it's seen as like an overnight success. Like that's the story that we see all the time and time again. But I can talk about that in another video, because I feel like some of y'all don't really want to be famous, y'all have trauma. But I really feel like that there's it's a very passive way to see your art, and eventually what happens, and what I've seen with a lot of older creators, is that they kind of develop a sense of shame around their art. It's like, oh, when I was young I used to think I was going to be the next big thing, and then it never happened. Yeah, in how your art and your creativity is treated is not really encouraged in artistic spaces. And yeah, and I'm going to tie it to my next point. I think this passivity within creative spaces is due to the fact that creativity is always seen as something that is to be taken from. And that's why we have this next clip. Open your LinkedIn. Go on LinkedIn and type up creativity. Darn near every single post, article, everything on there is going to be about how creativity can benefit your business, how creativity can benefit and generate revenue for the business. Creativity, we've been conditioned to see creativity as something under business or something that can be used for business. But rarely do you ever see how business can help creativity and how it can help protect your creativity. And if you're a creative person and you want to pursue your own path in art, in music, and fashion, that's more reason to get more aggressive with how you treat money, because at the end of the day, your biggest asset is your creativity. Your biggest asset is the fact that you can create things never seen before. And I have this mantra that I say all the time, that every time I feel like I'm headed down, like I'm like doubting myself, is if I can introduce ideas never thought of before, make sounds never heard before, write words never read before, My identity as a creative is in the fact that I can create things and put things in the world that have not been seen before. Creating a life where I don't have to suffer should be the easiest thing. And I don't need to take the traditional means, i.e. jobs, applying for jobs, to get that. That's the whole oxymoron behind the creative path, is that the reason why the struggling broke artist stereotype exists is because a lot of creative people are looking for traditional ways to create a life that they deserve, where it's like, no, like, just because this corporation is attaching $15 an hour to your gift, that does not reflect the true value of your gift. That means you have to stand in your own gift and stand in that power and attach that value to yourself and find that value in yourself. That's, if you take anything away from that video, that is that. You have to create, like, you have to get creative with how you build a life for yourself, because and this is also going to be my video of me rejecting the struggling artist narrative. I don't think I should couch surf if I want to take DJing seriously. I don't think I need to do that. I don't need to have something outside of me attach value to me, because I know the value of my art and I'm going to stand in that. So if you want me to give you my art, this is what I'm charging for it. I just want to say that if you're creative and you're pursuing your own path, be prepared to stand alone in your power and be prepared to be seen as other, like, lean into that. Lean into the way that Elphaba, like, that's side note, I think thinking about that scene now is so funny, because Elphaba really could have just flew away, but she was like, let me hit the nastiest high note you've ever heard before, and then I'm gonna go away. Like, she did it to flex on him. I was like, oh, I can fly on a broom and I can sing good. Like, she fully did that to flex. Like, that was that's kind of how you need to move as a creative. Like, you need to be willing to be the bad guy, be the one that stands out, go on your own path, and be willing for people to not like you because of that, because that's where your confidence is coming from. Elphaba became confident and she had control over her power when she took that step, when she took that leap of faith to stand in her power and to pursue her own path. More are the days that I see creatives where they're like, oh no, like, I can't take my DJing seriously because they don't pay us enough, it's hard. No. I don't want to see any more struggling artists. I don't want to see any artists who are down on themselves. I'm tired of seeing talented people let the world attach a value to their gift when they need to find that value in themselves, and that's where I come in. So if you're interested in working with me, please feel free to email me down below. My link is down there. Connect with me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I have TikTok, Substack, I have some articles out, and also I have an ebook, and it's called 21 Remixes for Your Work Troubles. So if you're not ready to be coached yet and you're still working and you still need some mantras or fortune cookies to help you get through all of the terrible things that can happen at work, I highly suggest buying the book. And also, my favorite quote from the book is my take on imposter syndrome. And this is actually kind of funny. So if you are someone with imposter syndrome and you think that because you're in this space, you don't deserve to be there because everyone there is so much smarter than you and you lied your way to get into there, that just means they're not as smart as you think they are. So either you're a great con artist or maybe you're not the imposter at all. So wherever you are meant to be there and you deserve to be there. The reason why you are there is because you are qualified. So don't ever question that. So that is in my book. My book also touches on work gossip, burnout, being overlooked, all of the things that you might struggle with in the office. I just have small mantras that you can just repeat to yourself that will help you reconnect with yourself and find value in yourself. There's some tips in there. There's some song recommendations in there. And yeah, it's my first ebook, so I'm really excited about it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So yeah, if you got to the end of this video, which is like rather long, thank you. Leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.